We will go into the details into the presentation. I will give you a multiple case studies of how pipeline agents can be used in B2B businesses. Keep in mind that I will blur a lot of the information out so that, for example, I'm not going to show it live to you as a deployed version, because when I do that on my YouTube channel, I usually blur everything on post-production. Right now, I cannot do that, so I don't want to leak any information. That's why, as you can see here, I have just the boxes pre-filled so that you cannot find the company information, so that I don't leak anything. So we'll go into the presentation. We'll share the case studies and use cases for AI agents in the B2B pipeline, and then we will jump into the Q&A session. Quick background check regarding myself. I just want you to be aware why I am qualified to talk about these things and what I have right now. I'm 25 years old, been married for 8 years. Was playing professional hockey for my whole life. This is how I moved to the US with a dream to play in NHL. Then when I quit, decided that hockey is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life, I started the online business journey, right? I still own actually 2 e-commerce brands, and this is a separate part of my life. I don't actually manage them. I mentioned this just because e-commerce was my background, right? So I have the e-com background, and 18 months ago, I started Quimple, about 18 months ago. So Quimple, which is the general AI automation agency. We have about 6 people right now working remotely. We're doing around $30,000 monthly revenue. It's not the MRR, actually, because we relied more on the one-time payments and not the retainers. I have a YouTube channel with 5.9 thousand subscribers already right now. Have the LinkedIn, which is at 6.9, which is weird, and have 2 e-com brands. Yeah, so this is one of the brands we're primarily selling on Etsy and Amazon. So this is a quick, background regarding me. I share a lot of the things that we built inside our agency on my YouTube channel, as well as on my LinkedIn. So you can go there, you can watch some of the videos, and you can see that I'm real, right? So I'm not hiding anything besides, blurring some information out. That's why, I know how, the process should work. I'm not saying that I know everything. There are so many use cases for the AI, and the industry is booming. It's funny because some people are comparing this AI wave with the blockchain and with the crypto wave. It's a bit different because when we're talking about crypto, some of the guys were saying, yeah, crypto is going to replace the whole financial system. It's never going to happen. The blockchain by itself is a great technology, but it's not going to change the world completely. Where AI is a bit different, because this is the tech that is completely redesigning the way we interact with the things. And there's kind of no way not to use it. So eventually everything will be AI driven, from the lights that you have in your room to the cars. That's why I think this is a huge opportunity. And that's why there are so many nuances when it comes to AI implementation right now, because eventually all the people that are from engineers to marketers will be using AI in their workflows, and they will not necessarily be AI specialists, because right now AI specialist does sound like something valid, right? Something like a valid career. This is what I do, but I think in the next year, in the next few years, it's gonna happen slowly. This is not going to be such a big thing, just because this will be such a generic term. I'm the internet specialist. What does it mean, right? Maybe in 2005 you could say something like that, but yeah, so it's not going to be relevant. But for right now, we do have a limited amount of ways how AI can be used in the businesses, and this is where we specialize in. When it comes to the B2B pipeline, I like when I work, I usually visualize all the things. If you know me, if you watched any of my videos, you know that I really like the brain maps and the flowcharts. So, and I try to simplify all of the things as much as possible so that it can be easily explained to a 10-year-old. And it's just easier to navigate inside more complex integrations when you see the things in a very simplified way. So When it comes to the pipeline, we can think about it as the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel, right? So this is the funnel, and then we have a sale. Usually, AI can be applied in the top of the funnel and middle of the funnel things. Bottom of the funnel, where sales calls and closing are actually happening. This is very specific thing that I don't think needs to be automated yet. Again, so when I say AI will be used in bottom of the funnel, I mean that it can be used in, let's say, live meeting recordings or analyzing all of your sales history and providing you the reports. But when it comes to automating the bottom of the funnel, this is not such a big thing, and I don't think that it will be yet, because AI agents are great, right? Either text or voice based, but when it comes, especially for the B2B businesses where the checks are hard, these are not the things that you would want AI to do, because the error of mistake is very, very high. And usually, all businesses are looking for more businesses, more prospects in the bottom of the funnel. So usually this is not the problem. So the problem is in either top of the funnel or middle of the funnel. And top of the funnel being, traffic lead generation activities or just general brand awareness. And the middle of the funnel will be nurturing, qualification, scoring, and maybe light selling to pre-qualify the prospect, so that it goes then to the actual sales reps that are going to close the deal. And it's relevant for, different businesses, from supply chain to marketing agencies, right? Again, everyone has kind of different pipelines, but this is a very, very brief review. Okay, so here we will actually talk with the use cases of the top of the funnel, and here I will give you the use cases for the middle of the funnel and how we implement agents in this specific phase. Okay, so when we ask ourselves, okay, so how do we get the clients? There are three main traffic sources: paid, organic, and cold. There are more, just simplifying everything. When we are talking about the paid traffic, it's usually all about media buying and content, aka creatives. The algorithms are already pretty good on understanding what ad to show to who. So essentially, when it comes to for example, Facebook ads, a few years back, it was very relevant to choose a very specific niche, a very specific audience, and target the specific the specific audience through the keywords. But right now, you can literally launch the ads in the broad audience with a pretty good creatives, and it will understand who to show it to. So this is actually not what we specialize in. We're not specializing in the paid ads or the organic. I just want to mention kind of quite a few tools and where the market is moving. So when it comes to the media buying, it's all about the stats. It's all about the data-driven approach. And the guys like Triple Whale that are already kind of working on implementing a lot of the AI features in their software that are helping ad teams to make data-driven decisions. So I don't think that this is something where agencies will shine, and this is not something that agencies will do. When it comes to the content creatives, obviously this is where the magic happens, because there are so many ways to go about finding content and creating different creatives and A/B testing them. And there are already quite a few different tools, AI tools, that can help you with that. Something like Ad Creative, which we use actually in our e-com brands a lot to find inspirations for the A/B testing different creatives. You have a lot of AI avatars. I've never I do know a few use cases of very successful ads that being generated with the AI avatars, but I still think they are not there yet. Or something like Bila, right? The Bila is just the software where you can get AI, not AI, so it's human generated content, which is user generated content. But I think they will also move into the AI space in future and add all the features and maybe even add AI avatars. So what I'm saying is that this is not what AI agency should be specializing in, and eventually in a few years, all marketing agencies will just use AI in their toolkit. So this is when you're saying, okay, so let me implement AI into my workflow. This is not what you think about, because if you are actually look, it's not like this one tool will help you. So either you need to do it yourself and need to do everything like from scratch, from A to Z, or you need to hire a marketing agency that will, have all the AI tools on the back end. Okay, so not gonna waste our time on this because this is not what we, as I said, do on a daily basis. But the organic content is a very similar story. It's either usually SEO optimized content or the volume of the content that you post. For the SEO optimized content, there are a lot of the tutorials on YouTube and different automations that you can build where like AI will help you to generate the content. And there's quite a lot of talk on how AI engines view the AI generated content. I think that if you like want to do it professionally, you would still need as well, you would still need to hire a proper SEO agency the same way as you do it here, but they'll just use the tools, the AI tools to maybe put their costs down so that it's more beneficial for the business, right? And they can spend less on doing the same thing if the agency is using, the AI powered tools. Or you can use something like Swell AI. This is actually by a guy. His name is Cody. He's very active on YouTube. He built a software which is pretty good. You can upload like different types of content, for example, like long form transcripts, and then it will repurpose your content into different channels, right? Or if you are like looking to do something like yourself at volume, you can actually build a complex, maybe automations and interfaces that will help you to manage the content. So we've done a few of them. Usually it's done on the Airtable, where you have multiple folders for like different use cases, and you have a spreadsheet where you have like when you specify, okay, so what type of the content you're looking for. Once you run the automation, it runs something like this in the backend where it's getting record, it's going through multiple LLMs trying to generate it. Maybe it will go through your RAG knowledge base to find the relevant content that it can reference throughout maybe an article or the post, and then update the Airtable back. And then from this Airtable, your team can publish something. Okay, so again, this is kind of I call it generic automations, because there are like a lot of the tools that coming up into the space. This is usually not something that AI agencies will do, and this is not what we specialize in. We actually shine when it comes to the cold outreach, because when we are talking about top of the funnel strategies, right? Usually companies, if they're looking for something like this, they're looking to scale faster. And obviously the paid ads is the answer here, but maybe they are already running them, or maybe it's not the niche that is perfectly fitted for this type of advertising. Organic is good, but it's a long-term game. So this is where cold strategies and cold outreach comes in handy. And when it comes to the cold, you can either do emails, DMs, or calls. Emails is pretty straightforward. DMs, LinkedIn, SMS, and other being, Instagram, Facebook, which we never do. And calls being cold calls or the warm calls like reactivations. I'll actually, later, we'll mention a use case for an insurance agency where we do a reactivation for them, which was actually not really successful in this specific case. And I'll explain why. We run like multiple kind of businesses where we reactivate the prospects for them and building out like pipeline engines that reactivate the prospects. But for this specific use case, I want to specifically mention it as a bad use case for the type of the implementation. Okay, so pretty straightforward with cold, right? For when we specifically, right, talk about top of the funnel strategy for the cold outreach, right? I divide, and this is like how I explain it to my prospects. I divide the actual path into 5 different stages, and it does not really matter where you stand in terms of the niche, right, of the business. It will look very similar. The first stage is the prospecting. So this is where you actually find the prospects that you are going to reach out to. The second is the research. Then there is a scoring. Then there is a strategy, or AKA personalization. I'm not putting the personalization here just because when we are, for example, building an engine like this, and we are working with a company that has 5+ employees, 5+ sales reps, we might route from here. We may route the prospects into the different sales reps based on the score that we give them. And the least route would be an actual automated engagement. I'm not saying that automated engagement is worse than the human touch, but again, it's because we'll personalize everything here on the engagement phase, but it's still sometimes needed for the human to get in contact. Because let's say if we are looking through the phone number, so if we did the prospecting, we did the research, and then we're looking for the phone numbers through the waterfall automation, and once we find the phone numbers, obviously this prospects will have a higher score. And we actually might verify the phone number through multiple softwares just to make sure that this is the right phone. Yes, it can be pretty costly, but usually it is worth it. So then once we are 90% sure that this is the actual phone number that the customer, the prospect is using, we may route this specific prospect to the best sales rep in the company so that he can contact through the phone, right, through the call, this prospect. Again, you might say, hey, Eugene, are there voice AI that can talk to the person? So let me give you an example. We've been working with a construction management company, and I'll give you later an example of the construction management software. But here, this is an example specifically for the construction management company. It's not a software; it's the actual company that is doing the work. And they have multiple sales reps, and their contracts are high. It's usually $100,000+ contracts. So when you are offering your services, and the prospecting was done through a specific database of contractors. So when we are reaching out to this type of the people, AI can offer the services, but this is not something that can be sold in one sentence. If you are selling something very, very specific and very, very simple, where you can say, hey, Eugene, this is Jessica. Are you looking for pens? We have the best pens we have the best price for the pens. If you're running the school and you need pencils or something, again, I guess sure. And you can say yes, and then you can say, yeah, okay, so we'll transfer your call to our for specialist. So you capture the intention, and obviously it's not that simple, but whatever. So you capture the intention, and then you move to the actual sales human rep. But when we are talking about larger contracts, this is not something that, hey, are you looking for someone that's gonna fulfill the job? I mean, yes, but then there are a lot of questions, and this is not something that we want AI to handle. That's why I'm saying that it's very similar situation with bottom of the funnel. It technically can do that, and you might see that other people in the online space on LinkedIn or YouTube are preaching to do this thing for you, or saying that this is a valid thing. We actually never find a good use case for this specific approach. Okay, so then after as I said, the personalization done is the engagement. So these are the 5 steps inside the cold outreach top of the funnel pipeline. So let's go through each one of them, and I'll show you how we do that and what are your options when it comes to automating each and every stage. Because again, trying to simplify it as much as possible. You have the business, right? You are looking to scale. Your options: automate the top of the funnel and bring more business to your door, or automate middle of the funnel and convert more people that are already landing into kind of your website or offer. Again, we'll talk about middle of the funnel later. So for now, top of the funnel. So, okay, you say, okay, we need to have kind of more prospects. We need to drive more business. So your options, let's say it's not the paid ads, it's not the organic thing. So it's the cold. And now you say, okay, so where do we find the prospects? Now, usually that's it. So usually the business think, okay, so we have the prospects, let's reach out to them. First, these prospects are not qualified. Two, a lot of them are not even in the business already, since like databases are not updating constantly. And three, it's not the most efficient way to do the things. So the first one is the prospecting, and you have two main ways to find the prospects. The first one is the custom way. So it's go through the niche websites and find contact information of the people. Really depends on the website. This is how we found actually the prospects for the construction management company. And the second choice, which is obviously the most popular, is just to use databases, right? It's either industry-specific databases where you actually, get the supplier list, for example, and you have the company information with all the information regarding this company. And this is, I think, the ingredient supplier database website. And then, like, these are the prospects. Obviously, they're not like exactly decision makers within the companies, but this is something to start with. So let's say these are the company, the companies, and then you would work down from the company level to the actual decision maker level to find the people who you're going to contact. Or the easiest approach, the most popular approach, and the most efficient approach, depending on where you are, is to use databases like Apollo, ListKit, or ZoomInfo. You can have a lot of filters there. You can like set up different things. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay. What I'm saying is that this specific stage of the pipeline, prospecting, is not fully automated. And I do believe that it can be, but right now we're not there yet. So it's still manual plus database specific work. Okay. Some companies say that, you just click one button and find, all the companies that you need. And usually they will like position themselves. And especially in the coming years, you will see it more and more. AI SDR softwares will place AI SDRs into your company. And this is like what we do. But we're not trying to fake it and say that these are the actual like employees that will do everything. No. It's still a service, right? So I do still believe that if you want to receive a good result, you still need someone on the back of the automation to handle it. Because here, like, they are just getting access to the, the databases. So they don't have a magic pill or the magic button where you will say, okay, find me these prospects with this specific criteria. And let's say if these prospects have, like, let's say if you're targeting, again, like manufacturers within a certain location, within like a certain amount of employees, sure, awesome. Like you can literally do it through Apollo. But if we are, for example, targeting the companies that have a certain amount of vehicles within their management, this is not the information that is available throughout the public databases. Maybe if you, for example, if you have an industry specific things, or if you have the custom like list where we can like scrape the information from, awesome. But usually this is not the case. So it's not a problem, but you need to be aware that on this stage, you usually get the general prospects. If your prospects, like your ideal customer profile is general, awesome. Like you could just like get away with the list. But if you need something more specific, and 90% of the businesses do want to have like more in-depth analysis into each and every prospect, you would actually need to have a research and the scoring phase that will go later. But like right now, Usually, if we are trying to scrape the databases, we are using, Upwork to find the people that have like Zoom info profiles, or if we're using the Apollo, we have something like Apollo Scraper where you can provide the link and we can get the prospects very cheaply. We're not here verifying any emails. We're not verifying any information. It's just creating the master list. If we already have the pre-built industry list, for example, if there's specific websites, we will either build a custom scraper. Maybe this is the website, government website that is updating regularly for the contractors. We might build a scraper that is scraping all the information. And again, so usually these are the company names and maybe company emails or the phone numbers. This is not the data that we would use for the outreach, but this is something to start with. Or, the client may already provide this list for us if they already have it. Now, when the prospecting is done, here we created the master list of either, again, prospects, aka like the people that we potentially can reach out to, or just the companies, right? So just the company names with the company data. So the next step is the research. And here I combined research, scoring, and personalization into one like sequence, because it does look very similar in terms of the interaction between you and the system. So let's call it an engine, right? So the pipeline engine, how does it structure? First, there's a home for this engine, aka the interface. So we usually do this through the Airtable. So we have multiple bases for different things. We have the master prospect list with all the information as a columns for each and every prospect. And then this is like where you upload the prospects from this phase, right? So let's say you set up, or we set up the this interface, because we already have the templates. You upload the prospects here, and the automation starts, right? So this is like where the magic starts happening. This is just an interface. For the research and scoring, usually there are two main ways to do that: to either use a custom automations or to use the enrichment softwares. For the automations, make.com, we have multiple automations to scrape the Apollo if some information, if we let's say if we found only the company names here, we might use a custom Apollo scraper to actually find more data. We can use the clay powered automations, or we can use the LinkedIn or website research ones. So this is an example of the automation that is researching the website, and I think this is one of the most important parts of the whole pipeline, because when you are trying to research certain information about the prospect, so let's say you have a prospect list from here, okay? So you do have four main ways how you can find more information about the prospects and find more data points on which you're gonna do the scoring. These are, first, the website; second, Google; third, personal LinkedIn, if we have the person profile; and second is the company on LinkedIn. Again, depending on the industry, it might vary, but in general, these are the four main resources. So maybe the prospects already have certain information on their website. If we go back to the example, if you're trying to retrieve the amount of vehicles that the company has, this information probably is not available through the databases. But we need to understand this info so that we can then further score and reach out to the prospects based on this criteria. First way to do that is to go through the website. You're not going to scrape the homepage, and this is what 99.9% of the scrapers do. We actually built a custom automation that is going through the whole website and trying to find the most relevant pages. In the enrichment, I will actually explain that we're using Clay, right? So maybe some of you are already familiar with the software, and the Clay has a Clay agent. This is a very similar agent that is kind of going through the website, trying to find information. it's good, but what we've built is better. That's why we're using the custom automation. So here you're trying to like research, okay, so has the company mentioned like vehicles somewhere in their on their website? So maybe it's in the news that they kind of bought something. Maybe this is in about page where they explain like the company structure. So this is like one way to do that. And we like the first part is to scrape the website. Google is very questionable. Again, it like really depends on the company. But if we're like getting the vehicle example, you can literally like scrape Google, and maybe this company was mentioned in some of the local news that they're expanding. Maybe they are actually hiring. Maybe they are actually like, I would say like raising. Obviously, this is like super relevant, but usually it's for like software companies. So the Google is a great way to find additional information about the company. Then we are having the personal LinkedIn. I think the third way would be not the personal LinkedIn, but the company LinkedIn, because this is where usually the information will be. And we're not scraping just the company profile, because the company profile will be available from here, right? So let's say if you're like using the database, right, you will get information like about the company profile. So throughout, like if you're exporting the list, you already might have, you know, an SEO description. You might have just, you will have like employees, you'll have the tags, and usually this information goes from LinkedIn. So there's no actual need to get this info. It depends, but if you're like getting the list from someone like here, obviously you would need to scrape the information on LinkedIn, because this is like a good reference on what the company does and how it's structured. But what we specifically do here is we scrape the post, right? Sometimes, and it became more popular to actually post on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is growing as a platform, so more companies post there. So we can get all the profiles, analyze the profiles, and maybe somewhere in the profiles, the information that we need was mentioned. So maybe it was sharing, like the company was sharing an update that we're like, hey, we bought like more like vehicles, or we kind of reached the 50 vehicles mark. So get the idea? So this is like where the actual company information scraping happening. And then there's a personal info. So similar thing, if we are already like having the company, like the person information from the databases, usually this list will have some info from the person profile, but we do scrape posts and comments from the personal profile, because maybe like the company shared an update and the owner or the decision maker reposted this post mentioning certain things. So this is like where you can find an information. And again, it like really depends on the business. If you're like working with like more digital based businesses, maybe you would use like other social media accounts. Maybe you'd use X. Maybe you would use Instagram account if they have it. You would scrape the profiles. You would scrape the like the reels. You would scrape the information about the reels. But this is like for the 95% of the businesses, these are the resources that you would need. And again, guys, so the problem here is that if you are working with a software that is claiming that they will build you the SDR, they will provide you the list, but they will not do the research, because the research is where the magic happens. And it can be only right now done by the custom automations. You say, okay, Eugene, we have Clay. First, not all companies use Clay. Second, you need to set up the Clay. And third, there are certain things like Website Agent or the post scrapers that either, I'm not sure if like they have the LinkedIn post scrapers, but even if you need, you still like need to set it up and then reference it there. So what I'm saying is that if you are the company, so if you own the company, it doesn't really matter if the agency is using the automations or the Clay, because it's literally like very similar thing. If you're saying, yeah, we'll do it ourselves, there's like a little bit of a learning curve, and you would still have a limited amount of data that you'll be able to parse. Okay, so this is kind of where the research and enrichment happen. For example, like once we're using Clay, we upload the list here. It's connected to here, so it's connected to Airtable, so everything goes back and forth because our Airtable is our home where we interact with all of the leads. So if, like from the example that I was explaining earlier, so if we have like 5 sales reps, we might route different prospects into different sales reps, and it will be all displayed here, and here they can track everything. So, and we like use, for example, like the waterfall, and like, it's very easy to do it with Clay. So waterfall, you can connect multiple softwares that will do an actual like trying to find the phone number, and you can like then re-verify it with another waterfall automation that is disqualifying the service that it was found by. We can find the prospects, like the company employees that we can potentially reach out to through the decision makers. If we haven't got the information from the Apollo, we use the debounce to verify the emails. Anyway, so there are like quite a lot of different parts, right? It's all goes into the Airtable as the interface. It's all synced up, and it's ready to go and managed by the Airtable interfaces, where you have kind of the menu and you have each and every prospect. So if you are trying to find a prospect, or the sales rep is getting the notification until, okay, so there's a new prospect, he can logs in and find all the information. If we are not syncing it up back to the CRM, so maybe they're using HubSpot or NetSuite or like Salesforce, it's can be easily synced back, to the actual like CRM that the company is using for the sales. Okay, so now we will go into the use cases, the examples, and how we go about the actual outreach, and then we'll go to middle of the funnel. When it comes to the engagement, this is an example of an email that we're using for one of the companies. So we've been working with this client for quite a while. They are a supplier of organic ingredients to other businesses, to other like manufacturers. So if you're like manufacturing, if you're the food manufacturer, you need the ingredients, and you usually buy it either yourself or you're using the like third-party procurement like department. So this is like what they specialize in, and this is kind of the engagement email that we've been crafting, and that was working really well. Here, you can see that in the subject, we are specifically mentioning the products that the company sells. And then we're saying, hey, writing you regarding like services, right? And the services being the products that they sell. So for example, writing you regarding meat, like steak meat products or something like that. Where do you buy ingredients from? So we here have three main personalization tactics that we've been using based on our previous research. And I'll show you how it was actually done. So let's say that, okay, so we're like working with we're trying to reach out to a manufacturer that like produces milk, okay? And we're saying, hey, like milk products, ingredients. Okay, so they open the email with saying, hey, writing you regarding your yogurts or something like yogurt, frozen yogurts. Okay, where do you buy calcium from? Calcium. I'm not sure how to like pronounce it. So like here we are actually mentioning the ingredient that is used by to produce this product, plus we're like making sure that we can supply this ingredient, right? And this is why I was saying that the most important phase is the research, right? So this is where the actual magic happens, and this is like where we research all the data points. So now, because we already have a pretty good understanding of what the company offers. And for their specific example, we didn't need to actually go and like scrape the LinkedIn profiles, right? Because we just need to understand what company sells. And usually they have this information on the website. One of the campaigns that we have been running is called new listed product campaign, where we have been checking the LinkedIn profiles of the manufacturers because they're like using it actively. where they say that they are adding a new product to their line. And we've been like saying that, okay, so we would get the products that have been added within the recent 3 months. And then we're saying, okay, we would send this same email, but here we'd say, hey, so you recently added, the frozen yogurt to your servicing. So are you like looking for calcium? Where do you get the calcium from? We're the back dropship supplier. We can procure like a lot of like different ingredients for you. That's it. So this is the same exact way how, the company would actually do something like this, like manually, right? So they would like have the sales rep that reach out to the decision makers of the manufacturers offering this specific thing. Okay. So this process is like essentially automated, and this is based on the previous steps of the research and the prospecting that we've been doing. And in order to personalize the emails, we're obviously like using the prompt. So like we are running the automation as I was like showing here, right? Somewhere here. So we've been running the automation that was gathering all the details from the Airtable based on the enrichment. So we had, so we have the Airtable as the, interface. Then we have the enrichment and the research that was happening, right? So, and then it goes synced back to the Airtable. And from Airtable, once it's synced, we're sending it to our make.com agents that are personalizing the emails. And for example, here we're specifically personalizing a part of the email, right? So in here is just the frozen yogurt manufacturing or coffee roasting services. Or you can like personalize the whole email or like the whole sentence. So here we're like asking to output one personalized sentence. And this is, I think, the example from kind of another company. But you can see that there are a lot of the variations. This is what it's called like personalization. Obviously, it's very important. Again, a lot of the tools right now, if you watch, like if they position themselves as a one-stop shop for everything, they will say, hey, like we will like engage with your prospects with the personalized campaigns. Yeah, but they are not going to write a relevant prompt to make sure that the outreach email is as written as humanly as possible. And it's very important for the prospect to be able to like respond, right? And like actually see that this is not a spam, and B, to kind of overcome the algos that like Google and Microsoft introducing, trying to catch all the personalization of the cold emails right now. Okay. And the same way is relevant when it comes to other outreach campaigns. Again, going back, trying to simplify it. So we did the prospecting, right? This is the first page, right? So here we did the prospecting. So we found the prospects. It doesn't really matter where. This is not something unique. All businesses have prospects. We all have very similar ways to get them. Then research, scoring, and personalization we do here, right? So we have the Airtable interface, we have multiple automations, and we're using multiple enrichment softwares that are usually grouped inside Clay. And then we're sending this personalized email. But instead of sending this email, what we can also do, we can make a call, or we can send an SMS like here. And I will give like this specific use case for the SMS when we are going to talk about the middle of the funnel here. I'll give you the company that we're working with. But like you can, once you have the prospects, once they are well researched, AI can do the same thing as human would. But I would not, and this is like what we do not do, we do not actually do the call. So for example, like here, you can see that in the prompts, this is the BAPI. So in the prompt, we are mentioning here, we're mentioning the variables, right? So the prospect details. And these details are researched on the previous steps. So it can literally call with all the same information and follow the same exact script. But we're not doing that just because it's not necessary and it's not efficient. But when it comes to the SMS, obviously you would not send this SMS. You would like have a bit of a different prompting and you would have a bit of a different structure, but it looks very, very similar. Okay, guys. So this is kind of all the ways how you can use AI in the top of the funnel. Now let's talk about middle of the funnel activities. This is essentially where you capture interest first from top of the funnel, right? And then you start qualification, nurturing, scoring, and then light selling. Again, guys, I want you to understand that it does depend really heavily on the business that you are in, right? But in a nutshell, like all the businesses need qualification, nurturing, scoring, and then light selling. In light selling, is a kind of very similar thing as the scoring or as the qualification, because you need to be able to understand if the company is already like looking for something, if you're working with like other companies, right? And if they are in the process of looking for a solution. So this will be heavily designed around 4 use cases, aka case studies that we have with our clients. Again, you need to understand that when it comes to the middle of the funnel, I do believe that there are much more ways to automate this process. Do I think that the whole process can be automated? Again, depending on the business. So, but if we are like when we've been talking about top of the funnel like things, right? So here and then with all the prospecting engagement and like sending everything, right? This is like pretty straightforward. What is different is so the prospecting, right? So it's very important. It really depends on where do you get your prospects from, either the custom way or through the databases. The research is also very personal, but it's pretty straightforward. Maybe it's for us. We have the pre-built automations and everything set up, right? So we know what's working. We know what's working for our clients, but usually there are not that many like sub ways where you can go into. So you just need to prospect, research, and then do the outreach. Obviously, the outreach and the engagement is, yeah, so this is like a lot of the things can happen here. So if you're doing the emails, there are like a lot of different ways to do that. If you're doing the SMS, you can maybe combine it to the multi-channel. You can combine it with the LinkedIn. You can combine it with the voice notes. Yeah, so when it comes to the engagement, of course, but in general, like the structure is like very linear, right? It's prospecting, research, scoring, strategy, personalization, and then the engagement. For the middle of the funnel, it's different because each business has like different ways on how to qualify the prospect. Some like will actually like ask the question right away. Some will ask like different type of questions or like send different materials to first make sure that the lead is warmed up enough. So what I'm saying is that like there's so many ways to automate the middle of the funnel, but here are like our like specific case studies. Again, like we work with 30 plus businesses. We have a lot, and you can watch my YouTube. You can go onto the agency website and see some of the case studies. But here are one of the recent ones. For the qualification, I was actually recording like this video where I was explaining how we've integrated an SMS AI agent to a B2B software company. So this is an actual like company. They sell the construction management software, and this is how their pipeline looked. So if you want the details, of the setup and how everything works in the back end, you can go watch this video. In a nutshell, they run the ads. They have multiple landing pages. So what we did, we implemented the call to action as the talk to integration specialist in 5 minutes. What they've been doing is like book a demo call or talk to the specialist. They have multiple landing pages where people and businesses like kind of can land to. But what we did is, and we're like still in the process of fully integrating this into the system, into their pipeline. So that's why like I'm sharing the recent like case studies that we've done. And we did like the call to action, talk to the integration specialist in 5 minutes, go watch this like video, you'll see it. And then we are pre-qualifying the prospects before sending the first SMS. What we have done for another company, and I'm also planning to record a video about it, we actually have it on the website, it's like a very like similar form, right? But here they can choose, so it's like talk to life specialist in 5 minutes, and then here they choose which channel they want the specialist to reach out to: email, SMS, or WhatsApp. This is the Swiss based business. That's why, and they like serve the whole Europe. So, like, obviously, they use WhatsApp a lot. It's not that relevant for the US based companies. But, like, here we have an actual selection where they can, like, choose a specific thing. Okay. When it comes to their pre-qualifying the prospects, it means that we do not want to engage with the actual people that fill out the form before we pre-qualify them. And it's like literally very similar process as the enrichment done in the top of the funnel here, right? So we're using automations and we're using the enrichment software, right? So we are going into the website, we're trying to find the details, we're going through the Google, we're going through the company LinkedIn post, we're going through the personal LinkedIn post, as well as using the databases to try to find information about the company employees. If it's not available on the LinkedIn, we're trying to find the address, the locations, and all these things. Again, if it's necessary for this use case, it was because these guys are selling to the larger construction companies and they need to make sure that they are qualified first. And then the first message is sent, and we're like just using open phone or just call, so open phone for the US like based companies and just call for the international, to send out the first SMS. If you want to see the full case study, go and watch it here. And like you can manage this pipeline because, for example, like you're sending the first message and then AI is talking back and forth with the prospect based on the pre-qualifying like stage and trying to ask the questions to book an actual demo, right? And this is like where the qualification happens. So in like the company does want to see the whole process. Right now, we just organized it in the Airtable. They do use Salesforce, and we are planning to then integrate it through the Salesforce, where we will create the new contact. The contact is created anyways once they fill out the form, but the activity of the contact is not synced with the contacts from Airtable. We're not doing it yet, but it's going to done something like this is something for the future integration. Or you can use just go high level and like integrate the very similar system if they are like more used to the actual like CRM view of the whole pipeline. Okay, so this is like one use case how the qualification can happen. When it comes to the nurturing, it's like very similar thing, right? So here, like we were also doing the nurturing, but the difference between nurturing and qualification is in the type of the outputs that you generate. So in the type of the questions or sentences that the AI provides to the user. So for like here, you just need to ask the questions, right? And you need to do the pre-qualifications to make sure that like the prospect fits. In the nurturing, you're actually sending the info to warm up the prospect. So here, like I have this system and I do plan to show like this system live on my YouTube at some point of time. So let me know if you want like to see it. But like for example, that was like the guy booked an actual call on my calendar, and here in the description. So let me check it out. So here we're saying, okay, what are you interested in? Like explain as much details as you can. Like I have the full paragraph, like asking prospect to provide as much information, and he just put AI SDL, right? So it's not like I don't get it, right? So and I would not be able to understand if the prospect is a good fit or not. So what we have is an automations that are, if it's the US prospect, because we're asking for the phone number, if it's the US prospect, it's sending the SMS and the email. So it's like based on the SMS.
And then the email is the reminder, hey, we just sent you the SMS. And I say not we, I, so I like it's all the communication is done from me, from Eugene. And if it's like other countries, we're just using email and the WhatsApp. So this prospect is from the UK, and that's why it like qualified. Okay, so this is the UK phone number. It went to the separate automation, and here, hey, you just saw your booking. I have a few questions. Can we chat here? And obviously, not all the prospects have the WhatsApp, or nor they like want to chat to the WhatsApp. So that's why in the email we're saying, hey, we just sent you the WhatsApp, but if you want to chat on the email, I just send you the WhatsApp. If you want to chat to the email, let me know, and like I can ask the questions here. And now he said, "Is this chatbot right?" So he was like, "Not sure," because the the message was sent almost instantly, right? It was like 2 or 3 minutes. But usually it's not a problem because like I would do the same thing manually. So, but like it's funny just because like he asked it and then I said yeah. So then once he asked it, because I follow all the conversation anyways, and once he asked it, I stopped the bot and then I started to actually talk to him. If I remember, yes, so yes, no worries, it's me. Usually people don't provide enough info so they can send the inbound and then just is the RBS, so I send the message. Yeah, so it was me, but we actually have the very similar sequence where he says yeah sure, like ask your questions. And since he didn't provide enough information, the bot would say, "Hey, like you just said ASDR through the description. Can you like clarify what you're looking for?" And then once he does, I do hop on the call because I talk to all of the prospects myself usually, anyways, because like we work with higher tier businesses, and it's not like we have like tons of leads every day. So like this is like my job to actually sell and qualify them. Okay, I didn't hire anyone for this task yet, and I'm not planning to. So this is like a very good illustration of how like nurturing and qualification can work. So let's actually go into the scoring, which is a bit more interesting use case. So this is a guy. He owns a pretty big Instagram, as you can see, like 5 million followers. So this is an Instagram coach. He is teaching people on how to get viral on Instagram. So what we are like doing for him is we're replacing his setters, right? And usually, how like the type of the business is, so let's call like the coach as the business, right? They, if it's like the Instagram coach, they would have like an engagement post, like, hey, like this is the template that I can give you, or this is the prompt, post in the comments, and I'll send it to you, right? The same tactic that I use on LinkedIn, same tactics that like a lot of the people use as the freebies to hire up the engagement. So people come and then through the ManyChat, he's using ManyChat, they send the freebie, right? So it's just a freebie. Hey, this is the link. That's it. Then after that, what they were doing is they're like the actual setters would jump into the conversation and try to engage with the prospect. So what we did is we built a voice flow bot, right? So this is the agent on the voice flow that has like multiple sequences. It's just one page, so it's a multi-step sequence where we're doing the same thing. So it is trained to behave on the data that is it's trying to respond the same way as the humans do and ask the same questions because they have like a 150-page doc of all the potential scenarios that the conversation can go to. So this is what we were base like this what we use as a base for the actual agent. And it's like asking like different questions, and it's connected through ManyChat because in ManyChat they have quite a few, and I'm not, give me a second. Yeah, so I thought I have it somewhere. Oh, okay, so here, as you can see here, like they have 197,000 prospects, and not these are like not this, we can call them prospects, they're not qualified leads obviously. So it's like they're adding every minute, and like once he posts an engagement post, they like add like multiple people per minute. So they have like a lot of the potential prospects, and they need to work with each one of them. Okay, but and like the sequence is set up through the main chat where like something is happening, and I don't want to show it here. I was planning to again like also create a separate video about it, but essentially like it's doing the API call to the voice flow here, right, to the voice flow bot, and it's interacting with this voice flow agent through the API back and forth, through the like ManyChat interface. And you can do the same thing, and this is what we did for the WhatsApp, because ManyChat also has the WhatsApp. For the WhatsApp integration, if you're like building your agent on VoiceFlow, you can like do a separate something like Chat Dash or FlowBridge or like Tixia is a way to interact it. You can build the custom automation through make.com like here, right? So what we've been doing here, and again, go watch this video. But you can also do it through ManyChat, right? So this is like how the automation goes. And this is, for example, a sequence where we are capturing multiple replies from each and every prospect. So this is an example of the conversation. This is like actually my wife. So I was like, to test it out again, so and to make a screenshot, so I decided to give it a try. So that was so that was the first message. So let's say, hey Mac, I need help to go my Insta, right? And 98 was actually the trigger word to trigger this automation, so that it actually triggers. And in the real life scenario, it's triggering differently. It's triggering once the prospect is receiving the actual freebie, and it's saying, "Okay, sounds good. What's your main struggle? Oh, thanks. How are you doing? I'm doing great." So as you can see, it captured multiple emails. It's asking the question. It's going back. Lack of time. She said, like, lack of time, family needs. I see. It's recognition. Then the question. She's asking another question, so it's answering, then going back to the question, and then like so. It is a very fluent like conversation, right? This is exactly the type of the conversations and the agents that we built for different channels. This is like very similar to what we have here. It's capturing and sending multiple messages. I show it on this video. On the WhatsApp, I have this bot that is trained to do the very similar thing. So I do think that for now we are building the best when it comes like one of the best AI agents when it comes to middle of the funnel agents in the world. So because besides the fact that they can like respond and get messages in the very dynamic way, the same as human would, they also act differently. So they act like an actual humans. So this is like what you can look up to when it comes to the actual implementing AI agents into the middle of the funnel to replace this going back and forth between the business and trying to pre-qualify, score, or nurture the prospect. So I said score, but unfortunately I don't have a screenshot here. Let's see it here. Yeah, so here, see the tag not qualified. And obviously I like first removed it and then added it just so that like it has like on the back end we track all the stats. Once the prospect receives the freebie, we have the automation that goes, because on the ManyChat it's started with ManyChat, because on the ManyChat we have the user Instagram. So we're using the scraper that goes to the Instagram, scrape the 10 list reels, and then see what the average amount of like real views. And we're like, because this is so like they don't allow they don't start with the prospects if they have less than 2,000 views. So this prospect should be qualified because they are like actually helping them to grow. And if you imagine, if we would start the conversation with each and every prospect, it would be very costly, very costly. So what we're doing is that we are running the automation first so we're sending the freebie, then we are running the automation. It's qualified or not qualified. So if it's not qualified, nothing happens. And if it's qualified, the actual like AI send the Instagram DM, and then the conversation starts. Okay, so this is like the score, right? So it's like pretty simple, obviously. So if the person received a certain score, aka match certain criteria of 2,000 plus reels, then it goes to the next step. Okay, and there are, guys, so many different use cases for this thing. You all have like different businesses like running different things and you have different processes. What I'm saying, if you go back and forth with your prospects through SMS, emails, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever, Facebook, if you do that, this can be automated, right? This is what I'm saying, right? So I was like, as you see, I'm like skeptical and I'm trying to be realistic when it comes to the AI integration, but when it comes to the agents of the middle of the funnel agents, this is like a really valid thing, and like I'm showing you the actual real use cases for it. And let's talk about the last thing. So light selling or upselling. So this was one of the bots that we developed for a software. They are like, this is a resume building software, right? It's B2C, it's not B2B. So they help people to build their resumes dynamically, right? So like using the AI as well as the pre-built blocks. This is like how the final page looks. And it's okay. So I was like kind of trying to do the screenshot too quickly so it doesn't pop up here. But once the prospect lands on the last page of the resume builder, we have the pop up saying, "Hey, you have like 3 mistakes in your resume. So do you want to send it to me? Do you want me to send it to you?" Okay, we have the agent that is built on the voice flow. So it pops up. It says, "Hey, do you want me to send you three free tips?" The prospect says, "Yeah, sure." Then if you look here, it's sending the prospect. Okay, so you're like, "I'm Nicholas with our senior resume expert here. Yes, get the 3 tips," listing the tips. And these tips are dynamically generated from the info that he provided here. Because once he lands into this final page, on the back end of their system, they generate the 3 tips. And if he clicks and says yes, it's actually sending an API request like here to retrieve these 3 tips. And then we're asking, okay, by the way, these tips are based on your resume. Would you like me to go in depth? And when they say yes, we're saying, okay, so if you'd like to get the suggestions, I can provide a complete resume review for just €1. Would you like to proceed? He says, yes. We're sending him a link. This link is dynamically also generated because we are capturing the user ID and resume ID from the URL they are in of like this page. And then we are like, essentially, this is how we upsell the services. And if you look like here, okay, so this is like an example of this. It's like, and this is the chat dash, by the way, as the front end for the voice flow. So got the free tips. So 200 people got the free tips. Out of the 200 people, 60 said yes to the paid offer of the €1. Okay, it means that they said yes, sure. So because this topic is only assigned to the people once they say yes, like I would love, like I would want to get it, right? So they are aware of the offer. Out of this, and I don't have the stats here, but we have about 30 people or like 25 people that bought it. So the conversion is really good. If we say like 200 people received the free tips and like 10% of them bought the $1 thing, if you've been in the business, you know that it's not about the money, it's about the commitment. Once they paid something to you, they're like much more likely to actually go into the next phase, which is the job search and other services that this company offers. So this is like another example of the agent that can upsell the product. Like selling is usually what I was mentioning, like selling when it's like doing the pre-qualification, saying, are you like willing to take a look? Are you actually looking for something like this right now, right? But in this case, I decided to actually show you an example of like one of the clients when we've been like selling it right away before actually. So instead of like selling the actual, job search for like a few $100s, we decided to like pivot it and like charge very small amount. So there are so many use cases that can be done with the middle of the funnel agents. And this is like what we also specialize in. And this is what I think you need to pay very close attention. For the top of the funnel, it's pretty straightforward. You have the prospects, right? You have the research, and then you have the engagement. I'm not saying that this is easy, right? We charge money for it. It's not like it can be done with a button or with the software, right? But like this specifically will bring more money, like will bring more business to your doors, right? But middle of the funnel can very quickly bring more money to the business by converting more of the existing, you know, traffic. Because like imagine, and I'm like eventually I'm going to share the stats here. We've been okay, so let me share from like a stats from another company. So we've been working with B2B software companies. So they actually provide a software which is the add-on to the business website. Not gonna mention it, but like just picture like an add-on pop-up that pops up on the website and they need to confirm and input certain data. So what we did is instead of like them providing the like demo right away, we decided to talk to the specialist. We increased the demo booking rate by 85%, so almost double. It's almost double because we, like and we were not qualifying everyone. So if we would qualify everyone, we could like triple the amount of demos that they do, but we were like obviously not qualifying a lot of the people. It was very effective because like imagine if you're trying to buy like something like again milk, okay, and like the like the representative of the company in the store for some reason will talk to you for like an hour, gathering all your health data and like trying to genuinely help, maybe provide like the healthcare tips and like explain why this is specifically the product for, like you would stand with them, like you would love to talk to someone. Like more time you spend with a prospect, more chances you have to close them. And this is what we're exactly doing here. In the real use case scenarios, company do not have time, and they don't really want to spend money on the actual sales reps that would just do the random talk with the people, like with the potential prospects, right? Because it's not quantified, like it's very hard to measure the like it's very hard to measure and like set a certain KPIs for the sales reps when you're like allowing them to be more free talking. But with the AI, it doesn't really matter. Like it can literally spend hours talking to the prospect. Obviously, I do think that, and from my experience, like if it's the conversation which is more than 20 messages, like utterances from the user and the customer, now it becomes more clear that this is the AI. That's why like we try to keep it below 20, right? So even if we have the questions, or even if we want to answer certain concerns from the user before actually jumping into into the light sailing or the scoring phase, it would be like 3-5 steps, and then we're like going to the next phase. And this is what we program inside inside the bots of VoiceFlow that we are using. Okay, guys. So this is kind of a very like generic view of how AI can be used in the top of the and the middle of the funnel. This is how we are doing that. So thanks for watching. Peace.